and it has hit a 4-year high today. The NSE index closing at 33,065 points, gaining 1.2%, really on the back of broad-based gains. The banking sector, of course, as usual, is a big part of that. But we really like to focus on the petroleum marketing space, and joining us for that discussion is Luqman Agboola, head of an oil and gas analyst at Diamond Bank. Luqman, it's great to have you on the show today. Hello, Luqman, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here. Good
All right,
afternoon.
great, fantastic. Okay, let's move on to talk a bit about the oil and gas space. I know, of course, that's your core focus. And I want to get your thoughts on the potential for M&A activity in that space this year. A lot of people are telling me that that is a space to watch. A lot of Nigerians are really getting into that space. A lot of development going on. Some, of course, acquiring marginal fields. Some are quite even more aggressive, getting some of the major oil fields out there. So your thoughts on the potential for consolidation, and before we move on to the discussion around when these companies may be listed on the local boards.
Well, we've seen a couple of companies saying that, but I don't see that happening this year. As far as the marginal fields are concerned, what each and every one of them is trying to do now is to raise money to either start production or to increase what they are currently producing. So I don't see any of them, I don't see any merger or acquisition this year, really. But what will happen is that you are going to see some kind of technical partnership and JVs. But mergers and acquisitions, with respect to marginal feeds, that's not likely to happen this year.
For you, what would be the enabler for those M&A deals, though?
Yeah, an enabler for any merger and acquisition is either it is hostile or it is a kind of a mutual agreement. The major challenge is that those marginal field owners are not really looking at that for now. And the perception or perspective of the owners is what would determine whether there is going to be any ultimately. But for now, just like I said, everybody is just trying to develop what they have, to meet regulatory authorities' requirements that you must develop your marginal field within a given period of time. So that's what everybody is doing. Right, so looking for money either to start production or to increase what they are currently producing. Okay,
so while the investment bankers are looking for deals in M&A, your thoughts on when we may see some of these companies listed? I know there's been some talk around that, and I think that talk has been on for about a year, that we may get some of these, even the local oil players listed on the market. I remember a name, First Hydrocarbon, came up at some point, but we haven't seen a follow-through on that. Your thoughts on when we may see that happen?
I don't also think we are going to see that this year from fillers in the market. Of course, there are a couple of companies that are looking at that as part of their mid to long-term objective, But what all of them are actually trying to do now is to see, particularly the current divestments by the IOCs, what most of them are actually trying to do is to leverage on equity and debt funding. When I say equity, I mean private funds, not necessarily coming to the market to raise funds to do that. Now, I think what most of them are trying to do is to say, hey, having acquired these assets, let's see what we can do to add value before we go to the market so that we can be able to get good value for them. That is actually what most of them are doing currently. But I want to believe that by the second to third quarter of this year, we are going to see how that plays out, really.
Of course, when we hear about all this, we get the sense that this is a good place to be. In other words, Nigeria's oil and gas space is booming. But of course, the news we're hearing around that as well is that Nigeria is losing its competitive edge on the global market. And while many companies seem to be targeting the oil and gas space today, there is news that Nigeria is losing its competitive edge. Do you think it's still a sensible deal, especially for the local players, to begin to consider leveraging their positions, trying to get a little bigger in this space?
Well, it's not actually only the indigenous player that's actually trying to get bigger. As I speak with you, international investors are streaming into the country to see how they could get part of the pie. Nigeria oil and gas space is actually an exciting place now, and everybody is trying to come in to see what they can get out of it. Nigeria will continue to be an interesting destination. It's just that we just have to be very careful. It is an opportunity that we have now that we must use very well, otherwise there is going to be a problem. if any other country around the Gulf of Guinea region could be able to do as much as Nigeria is doing, sure enough, investment is going to go in that direction. But of course, because Nigeria is already a market, if I could use that word, the Niger Delta is very prolific, and everybody is coming to see what they can get out of that. It is not a big deal that Nigeria is losing market. That actually happened also in the LNG market.
Right.
There were contracts that were signed that due to economic crisis and all that, there were cargoes that were not taken up. There are other countries and continents that are already taking that. So I don't see what is happening in the global oil and gas market affecting people's appetite for for investment in the Nigeria oil and gas space.
All right, Luqman, we really have to wrap now.
Continue.
But thank you for sharing your thoughts on the show today. Luqman Agboola from Diamond Bank giving us his thoughts on the oil and gas space in Nigeria.